Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Championship here tonight at Homestead Miami Speedway. It has been a long season of endurance for all the drivers, and here tonight, 5 more remain that are going to have a chance to fight for a championship. One of them, the man who's looking to go back-to-back, won the championship last season in the trucks. Now looking to see if he can do it here tonight in the Xfinity cars, and that is David Traylor. David, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Austin.
Well, man, what a season it's been for you. I mean, first off, obviously the big stat that jumps out to anybody that looks at it, 7 wins coming into tonight. I mean, almost 2 handfuls. You figure that makes up probably at least a quarter to a third worth of the schedule. But it doesn't matter because here we are tonight. Everything resets. It's all about who finishes the highest. So knowing what's at stake, first off, I got to ask you, what's the game plan going into tonight, and how do you get focused up here?
Honestly, I'm going to pretty much treat it the same way I treat every week. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to try to win. I'm going to learn a little bit in the first stage, see how the car handles, see how the competition acts tonight, and then just get locked in after the stage break. Anything can happen in these races. I could have won all the races up to this point, but this is the one that matters. So. Like I said, just going to treat it like normal, try not to psych myself out, and try to go back-to-back here.
Well, it sounds like a pretty good plan, and obviously, I mean, win or lose, it's been a stellar season, but knowing that this is the last season under the Asphalt Outlaws Racing, how much more does it mean to try to go out there and get it done one more time?
It'd be awesome to finish out this league with a win. Obviously, me and a couple of the guys are taking over next season. I won't be on the track. But I'd like to leave my mark. It's nice to be able to say, oh, I won the last race ever, or I won the last time they were around. So hopefully we can do that tonight. Got good teammates that can help me, give me tips where I'm not faster than them. But the competition's gonna be tough. These are the 4 guys I'm up against tonight are the 4 fastest guys in the league for a reason. So I gotta hit it perfectly tonight.
Absolutely. Well, David, it's been domination so far to get to this point this season. Most wins coming in. We'll see if you can leave with the hardware here tonight. Hey, thanks for talking to us. I'll let you go get ready for qualifying, and hopefully we're talking to you again at the end of this race.
Yes, sir. That's the goal. Thank you, Austin.
All right, there you go. That's David Traylor. We'll slide him back down. Again, 7 wins on the season. I mean, it's still just one of those things that when you say it out loud, you're just like, I mean, man, did he really do that? And the answer is, yes, he did. But if he can't do it again here tonight, he's going to tell you he could care less about all those wins if it doesn't really mean anything and he can't get the championship. All right, next up, a man who kind of went the opposite way to make it to the championship 5, and that's none other than league owner Mark Beverly. Mark, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, not much, man. 2nd season in the championship for yourself after not quite getting the job done last season. But here's what's interesting, and I'm sitting here looking at it, and it was one of the things I was excited to talk about tonight. The fact that you got into this position without winning a race all season. So the first question I got for you is, how does consistency prove that you can get the job done here tonight? And the point of it got you to this point.
Yeah, I guess it's just been playing like Ryan Newman all season and made the final here. No wins. I haven't lucked into any, or been kind of a bad year for me, I guess. But yeah, just been trying to stay near the front and just collect as many points and stay out of trouble. I think that's been key for me.
Yeah, certainly has so far. And again, consistency is key, and it seems like you've had that so far this season. Now here tonight, Homestead Miami Speedway, obviously one of the 1.5 miles, a track that you got to feel pretty good about, but certainly still one of the trickier of the 1.5 miles we go to. Sun's setting, so how are you feeling about the race car tonight, and how are you feeling about your chances here to grab the championship?
Well, we got some pretty fast guys in the championship here, so I'm just going to try to maybe beat him on some strategy, or we'll see what happens. This is a really fun track, but I can never seem to pick the right lane I need to be in throughout the race because it seems to change all night, especially going into dark here. So I'm going to give it my best, though, and I guess we'll see what happens.
Sounds like a plan. Well, hey, Mark, we certainly appreciate you talking to us. Going to be a fun one to watch here tonight. Good luck the rest of the way, and we'll see if we're talking to you at the end of the race here tonight.
Yeah, let's hope so. We'll have fun up there.
Will do. All right, that's Mark Beverly, one of the Asphalt Outlaws Racing drivers. And so now we'll turn our attention a little bit in the other direction here. Still waiting for a few of your Championship 5 to arrive tonight. We got a chance to talk to two of them so far, both David Traylor and Mark Beverly. For what I know for now, Charles Van Shake, Kevin Winker are going to be a little bit late. And so that leads us now to the third of your Championship 5, and that is none other than White Knuckle Racing's Clinton Woodby. Clinton, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I've got you, bud.
Well, here you are, man. It's championship night. 5 drivers remain to fight it out for a championship. And, I mean, you've put yourself right there in the mix all season. 3 wins to note so far. Obviously, could make it number 4 here tonight. But, you know, first off, you kind of look back the season as a whole to get to this point, and you've kind of had that mix of both consistency and really good runs where obviously the wins were produced, all starting with the clash at the beginning of the season. Do you feel like that momentum that you've been able to kind of spark out of nowhere throughout the season when maybe things have started to not go your way, next thing you know, you find victory lane and you're back on the heater? Do you feel like you can make that happen again here tonight?
Well, I guess numbers game says I got a 20% shot at it, but I'm going to give it all I have. I feel like this is like the 3rd year in a row I've been here, and I'm either 4th or 5th or 3rd or 4th. I'm usually last or second to last, so I'm just trying to finish in a little bit more money this year. To be honest, I'm trying to upgrade all my stuff, and that would actually help a lot. So just really going to put all that in mind whenever the green flag goes. But yeah, getting victories earlier in the season definitely helped. I think it was Vegas where I just felt like I randomly won, but I led like 65 laps. It just felt weird for me. I usually only lead a few laps, but somehow can pull a win off here and there.
Well, you mentioned
So that was a good feeling to kind of feel like you dominated a race. So I guess, yeah, we got a little bit more confidence out of that.
Exactly, and I was getting ready to bring up the point. You just mentioned Vegas, obviously one of your 3 wins. They all came at 1.5 mile racetracks. Of course, Kentucky being one of the other ones. Here tonight, we're back at 1.5 mile, but it races a little different. What do you expect here tonight in terms of the racing, and how are you going to outdo the competition here tonight?
It's definitely going to be a lot of tire saving tonight with this new update. It's savage on tires. I didn't run too much yesterday, but I feel like I'm more of a race pace type of driver. I can judge what people are doing better during the race and figure out what I can do better, and just I feel like I can always save better behind people. That's why I'm usually never out front trying to push myself at all. I'm just trying to save it till the end.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Clinton, I see qualifying's getting started, so we appreciate you talking to us. Good luck here tonight, and we'll see if we're talking to you hopefully as the champion later.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right, there you go. Clinton Woodby, one of the White Knuckle Racing drivers, and now that just leaves us with 2 drivers left to interview, one of them being the 42 of Kevin Winker, another one of your Asphalt Outlaw Racing drivers. Let's see how he's feeling here as qualifying gets started up. Hey, Kevin, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, man.
Well, I know you guys are getting qualifying underway, but, I mean, man, what a season it's been for you so far to get to this point. Similar to your teammate, Mark Beverly, you make it to the Championship 5 without a win to note of at this point. But obviously here tonight, you could certainly change that. So first question I got for you is kind of the same one that I did ask your teammate. Consistency's been key all season, and how do you feel like you got to this point?
Honestly, I really don't know. I mean, I looked at the playoff standings last week, and I was like, oh, I got a shot. And I just ran a clean race at North Wilkesboro and made it through. I mean, I guess, you know, kind of with the new playoff system, it kind of helps guys like me that aren't fast every week, you know, and just kind of show up and run their own race. So, yeah, I mean, obviously I like to win championship night, but I know David and Quentin and Charles are, you know, the class of the field. Me and Mark are kind of just back runners or whatever you want to call us. So it's definitely going to be a challenge. But yeah, I'm just happy to be here and have a shot. That's really I'm thankful for right now.
Absolutely. Well, you know, here tonight, obviously things can go a couple ways. We could see a bunch of long runs and obviously one to finish it out, or we could see some craziness toward the end with some overtime restarts. How do you go about trying to find the balance of the race car, and what do you feel more confident in if we were to go on a long run for this race or if we had a couple short runs to end it?
Honestly, I really don't know because I really don't like this track. I can't seem to save the tires, so I think maybe just short runs because then you usually get chaos and people wreck. So I guess that's my only hope. But yeah, I mean, lately I've been picked up a couple wins on fuel mileage in my other couple weeks, so I might try that, see if it comes down to a fuel mileage race. But yeah, I mean, like I said before, I want to win the championship, but I really don't think I have a decent shot. But we'll see. 20% better than 0. So we'll go up there tonight and put all our effort in and see what happens.
Absolutely, and anything can happen. Hey, you got this far, so I think you got just as good of a chance as anybody. But hey, good luck here tonight, Kevin, and we'll see if we're talking to you at the end of this race.
Sounds good. Thank you, man.
All right, there you go. That's Kevin Winker, and then obviously last but certainly not least, that leaves Charles Van Schaik, who is currently not in a channel. I know that he mentioned he would probably be arriving a bit late, so he may either not be here yet or still trying to hop in qualifying. So unfortunately, it looks like in terms of pre-race here, we're not going to get a chance to interview Charles Van Schaik, but just a brief brush up on what his stats look like coming into the race here tonight. 3 wins, and even his spread's a little bit interesting, similar to kind of what I mentioned and what we saw with some of the other drivers. Of course, you think about Mark Beverly and Kevin Winker making it here without a win to note of, but then you got to think about, obviously, what Charles Van Schaik did. And I said 3 wins, but it's when he got those wins that is so interesting. First win came at Auto Club just about a month or so ago, actually a little bit longer than that. And then it was a couple weeks before he found victory lane again. That came at Daytona. That was pretty much what secured his ticket here to the Championship 5. And then just for good measure, to keep the momentum up, he goes off to North Wilkesboro and gets the job done there as well. So I got to think if there's any guy that's coming in with a ton of momentum, it's got to be that 23 car of Charles Van Schaik. And again, doesn't look like we're going to get a chance to talk to him here pre-race, but we'll certainly see if we can get an interview with him after Stage 1 is wrapped up, obviously depending on the way things finish in the stage, and obviously depending on how quick the caution is set up. Well, you see it there on the scoring timer. In fact, we'll pull it up for you. Time left in qualifying, just under 50 seconds. So as we wrap things up here and get ready to go from Homestead Miami Speedway, I want to take a chance to say if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. You're watching the Asphalt Outlaws Championship on PGR eSports. And I mentioned that it's been a long season. This is the last thing I'll note before we get set up to go down trackside and get things rolling here tonight. But a long season it's been, and I feel like it's a driver that always made it more sweet to make it to the championship, knowing how hard you had to work to get to this point. I mean, don't forget that we started racing back in August last year, and here we are in March 2025, getting ready to wrap things up in the final season of the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series. And obviously, can't say enough about all the things that the sponsors do for these guys to make everything possible. QH Design, of course, the winning bid, Diecast, everything that they've all done. Even the sponsors last season that helped these guys have such a good truck championship. And, you can't really have payouts without the sponsors. And so that leads us now to mention the thing that a lot of people probably have their eye on, at least the drivers down on track that are fighting for a championship. And that is those payouts here tonight. So if you're curious about what they are, the champion going to take home $200. You heard Clinton Woodby mention he could get some new parts for his rig, potentially with that $200. The second place finisher in the championship takes home $100. Third takes home $50. And fourth will take home $35. So just keep that in mind as the race goes on. All right, well, qualifying is complete. And with that, for the final time this season, we get our opportunity to head over and head down trackside and get tonight's starting grid. So as we do so, again, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. You're watching the Asphalt Outlaws Championship on PGR eSports. All right, here we go. Taking the pole and the first of your Championship 5 drivers here tonight. That's David Traylor in the 54. 7 wins to note of so far this season. Looking for number 8 here tonight. He puts down a 33.1 to grab that first place starting position. Charles Van Schaik shows up a little late, but still doesn't show out on any speed in terms of, doesn't miss out on any speed. He sets down the second fastest lap here tonight in qualifying, so he will start on the outside of row number 1. He's got 3 wins to note so far this season, and he is the second of your Championship 5 drivers. Mark Beverly will start 3rd here tonight. That is the 3rd of your Championship 5 drivers. No wins yet for him this season. Clinton Woodby with 3 wins. He starts 4th here tonight, and again, that is the 4th of your 5 championship drivers. Back in row 3, a pair of non-championship drivers, both looking to steal some trophies here tonight. Dylan Paws and Keith Prince. And you've got Colton Hardy back in 7th, one of the Loose Lug Nut Racing drivers. Jonathan Herbert will start in 8th. And you've got Evan Schilling in 9th. And the final of your Championship 5 drivers, Kevin Winker, starts on the outside of row number 5. Jesse Calloway will start back at 11th here tonight. It'll be Haas Beverly for Asphalt Outlaws Racing to his outside in 12th. And rounding out the field is going to be Lance Thompson in the 21 car He will start in 13th. All right, taking a look at your race info here tonight. Again, final race of the season. It is the Asphalt Outlaws Championship. So the distance these guys will run here tonight, 165 laps in total. There'll be a stage break on lap 30. 95% fuel as always, 4 sets of tires. You do have that one fast repair if needed. Fixed setups, and of course 3 green-white checkers if we were to need them. Homestead Miami Speedway, 1.5 miles in distance, but what makes this track unique, turns 1 and 2, pretty similar to 3 and 4, but what they both have that not a lot of other tracks have is progressive banking. The further up the racetrack you go in the corners, the more banking there is, and for that reason, a lot of guys tend to favor the high side when they're looking for a little bit of extra speed. So I think you might see the guys that are more conservative trying to run the bottom here tonight, but if you're really looking for speed, looking to make something happen, especially on a late race restart, watch for guys to jump to the outside. 79 degrees in the sim, 63% humidity, partly cloudy skies, and winds at 6 mile an hour. Track temp starting here tonight, just over 80 degrees, so shouldn't be a major issue. Grip will not be a problem. And here we go for the final time in Asphalt Outlaws Racing history. Green flag is in the air. The championship is underway. Green flag at Homestead. Trouble already. Caution as we got a spinner through 1 and 2, and I think it's the 92 of Clinton Woodby. Got loose. So the tires are still getting up to temp and getting up to pressure, and around it went. For the 92, that is not the way that one of your Championship 5 drivers wanted to start his run here tonight. Good news for Woodby, though, is I don't see any damage. You wouldn't really expect him to have any with the way that that incident played out, but still obviously an early loss of track position and an early caution as everybody was just getting ready to try to get the nerves out. They're going to have to wait a little bit longer to do that here as we'll rack them up and try another restart before we officially get things going green here tonight. By the way, though, before we go back and look at this replay, I do want everybody to turn your attention to the left side of your screen. You notice that scoring tower. Just in case you need any clarification on it, the drivers that are highlighted in purple with the C next to their name, that indicates the Championship 5 drivers. So if you see your favorite driver highlighted in purple, they are fighting for a championship tonight. Everybody else fighting just to grab the win. Nothing else on the line for them. All right, with that, let's go back, take a look at the first yellow flag of the night and what happened here to Clinton Woodby. And here we go, just riding on the outside line behind Charles Van Schaik, and it's going to be a pretty simple breakdown here. Just cold tires trying to stay in the throttle, and car's just going to get loose on him as soon as he gets down into the corner, and you see him, as much wheel as he's trying to put back to the right, that thing just never quite goes back to the right. Now, at the same time, he never quite fully spins out. It's almost a 90-degree angle slide here down the racetrack, but by never fully spinning out here, he still keeps some forward momentum, and I think that gave Colton Hardy just enough time here to keep from running into the 92. That's a phenomenal job by Colton Hardy to miss any contact. Saves both of those race cars, and I'm sure Clinton would be saying thank you for not hitting me. He was able to save that race car and continue on, but I mean, from his point of view, and obviously I want to get an onboard with Colton Hardy, but for Clinton Woodby right here, watch it from his onboard view. It just happens so quick. And again, when you're on cold tires, rubber's not going to be quite as grippy as once they're heated up. And just trying to keep the throttle down behind Van Schaik, and round she goes. But again, overall, a pretty good save. Obviously, things could have been a whole lot worse right there for Clinton Woodby had he got tagged. And we talked about the man that did the best job of avoiding any contact right there. That's Colton Hardy. Watch it from his point of view. Sees Hardy spin on the brakes, on the brakes, on the brakes until the 92 slides low. And then right back on the gas as if nothing happened. So again, a phenomenal job right there for Colton Hardy to keep it out of Clinton Woodby, and a good save by Woodby to keep it going. All right, well, lights are off on the pace car. It was a pretty quick caution here. No virtual debris to clean up, but as we do set to get back going green up front, David Traylor, Mark Beverly currently 1-2. Beverly quickly able to pick up a spot from where he initially started this race from. Charles Van Schaik is the one who lost the position, though. He moves back to third. Dylan Paws in fourth. And you've got Colton Hardy, who is currently rounding out your top 5. All right, well, speaking of Colton Hardy, he is one of our onboard views here tonight. We just showed you a brief view right there of Kevin Winker. We talked to David Traylor earlier, and obviously we'll be switching between these 3 driver camps quite a bit here tonight. as the race goes on. Now, this is kind of interesting. I don't know if you notice, the broadcast may be seeming a little bit dark right now. iRacing had an update as of recent, and I don't know if they tried to adjust the lighting to make it more realistic or if they changed some sort of setting. But I noticed this even being in the actual car at Daytona a few days ago, that it seems like some of the tracks now almost appear darker even with the lights on. So obviously that's something that's a little interesting to keep an eye on, but if you were wondering, that's your answer. All right, here we go. Green flag back in the air. 5 laps in the books, but we haven't completed a full one under green yet. This time, though, up front, guys are going to try to single file out a lot quicker. David Traylor let him down into the corner as Van Schaik quickly going to sneak around the 10 of Dylan Pause. Here comes Keith Prince and Colton Hardy trying to follow in suit as they all roar off at turn number 2 down the backstretch, fully up to speed. For the first time here tonight, the 97 of Hardy still putting the pressure on the back bumper of Keith Prince. Meanwhile, those front 2, David Traylor, Mark Beverly, they have quickly gotten situated and organized, as it looks like for Mark Beverly right now, he's just going to see if he can maybe ride around here for a little bit. Kind of in the tire tracks of David Traylor. No point in pushing the pace yet, but he's got to be careful because you know Van Schaik, who's again been on a heater over the last month or so, he's got a lot of momentum, and I think he's going to be going out here trying to get the lead as soon as he can. As, whoa, Mark Beverly, big time loose off of turn number 2 right there. He has to catch it, and in the process, he'll lose a little bit of time. And I was going to say I'm glad. Obviously, I'm not glad that it happened to Mark here, but I'm glad that we got to see this, because this was the other thing that I want to mention here tonight that makes Homestead unique is the way you transition off the corners onto the straight here. These cars get so wicked loose out of nowhere. I mean, even if you feel like you're driving the car pretty much straight off the corner, you can see it do exactly what Beverly's did right there, and that's just start to snap out of shape. And obviously, Mark doing the very smart and conservative thing right there, which is just bail out of the throttle. I mean, obviously, it sucks that you're going to lose some track position, but much better than obviously losing a race car. So for Mark Beverly, keeps it going in the right direction. But unfortunately, seems like position-wise now might be going in the wrong direction as he falls a few more positions now, as the rest of the field all has single-filed out just about. We had a little bit of 2x2 there for it looked like about the 4th or 5th position, but at least for now, everybody has sorted it back out. Sure enough, Kevin Winker in the 42. He will work by, claim that spot. That was Keith Prince in the 3 car, who just got by. Man, another one wicked loose out back. You saw it right there from the TV static cam. And I think that may have been Lance Thompson or Haas Beverly. Back this up and show you replay this one, as that's another really close call. And it looks like it is indeed going to be Haas Beverly here. Watch as he's coming up off the corner. Car starts to get a little tight. Turns the wheel, gets loose, and has to chase it all the way down to that white line by the apron. And obviously, don't forget, there is no out of bounds here at Homestead. So technically, if you want, you can go below that white line on both the back stretch and the front stretch, although I don't see any reason that you'd really see anybody try it. So top 2 right now as they run, David Traylor, Charles Van Schaik, 2 of your 5 championship drivers, with Colton Hardy currently sitting 3rd. The next 2 of your championship 5 drivers, Mark Beverly, Kevin Winker, currently 4th and 5th. And you got to go all the way back to the 10th spot right now, where we find Clinton Woodby, who again had that incident on lap 1, turn number 1. Didn't exactly know how he felt about his chances here tonight. One of the things he said, though, one of the keys was going to be tire saving. Obviously, that slide certainly didn't help him out, and now he's got to try to kind of balance tire saving with trying to make up some track position. And he may get another spot right here as they go into turn number 3. He'll dive to the inside of Jonathan Herbert in that Ridge Power Sports number 88 Chevy Camaro, who stays up top and doesn't seem to be the fastest way around right now. But what you do see right there on the outside is the 88 of Herbert. By committing to that top lane, he proves that there is some momentum to gain on the straights by running that top. Now, how close you want to get to the wall, that's kind of personal preference, and that's going to be one of the keys, I think, to potentially victory here tonight if that top lane prevails and becomes the fastest. You'll hear a lot of drivers in real life refer to it as kind of a cushion as, whoa, trouble out back. We got one spinning here. That's Jonathan Herbert. Not quite a spin, but big slide for the 88 here. And he will lose all of his track position. He now falls back to 12th. And what happened getting into the corner here? Does he get some help or does he just overshoot it? Looked like he got some help as they go down to the corner. There's Haas Beverly. And the 88 up top. And yeah, for Haas right there, not really sure if there was some harsh feelings. I don't think there was. I think that Haas just overshoots the entry a little bit. You see as they get into the corner, that car just never really turns for Haas. Kind of drives right up the racetrack. I mean, Herbert, really no room right here. I don't know if maybe Haas was planning to turn later in the corner and just misjudged it or what happened right there. But obviously for Jonathan Herbert, he's got to be wondering what the heck. Goes for a slide, and then as the car corrects itself back into the outside wall, pretty significant contact there. Let's go back and watch this one more time, just from the onboard view of Haas Beverly briefly. Let's see if this answers any of the questions of what in the world just happened right here. As they go into the corner, you see Haas. And it's an interesting one. You know, I don't think that there was any beef between these two. It certainly doesn't look like Haas made a desperate attempt to try to dive to the inside there at the end. Again, not sure if these two had some sort of issue. I don't think that they did. I think it's just kind of an unfortunate racing ordeal, but obviously Haas Beverly right there from a couple angles looked like he may have been unhappy, but again, don't think that that was the case. 14 of 165 laps in the books. Again, that stage on lap 30, not fighting for anything. Really, I think, and I've said this in, other leagues, other broadcasts, I think when it comes to the championship events, whether this format of just whoever finishes the highest, which again, by the way, that is the format here tonight. If there was any confusion on that, let me be clear. Your championship 5 drivers, it's simple. Whichever one of those purple names is the highest on the scoring tower at the end of the race, that is your season champion. Points do not matter anymore. That's why I was getting ready to say that the stage break doesn't matter. The only thing that I think drivers have to really gain from the stage right here is obviously a chance to kind of learn what your car did over those first 30 laps or so, which is a fairly long run in these cars. You figure 30 laps, they could probably go in total. If I had to guess, maybe somewhere around at least 50 laps on a long run, 95% fuel, maybe somewhere in that general vicinity. So again, this is your chance to learn what your car has, what it doesn't. Learn if you need to save more tire early on or maybe save a little less tire. I think that's going to be some of the biggest adjustments we see, because obviously you can't mess with the race car as it is fixed setups. A couple drivers going in the right direction. Kevin Winker, one of your championship 5, is up 5 spots from where he started this race at. Currently sits again in that 5th position. And then just a few spots in front of him. How about Colton Hardy? One of the non-championship drivers currently finds himself up 4 spots from where he started this race at. Van Schaik and Trailer, no net gain. And some of the guys going in the wrong direction. Obviously, Clinton Woodby lost all those positions from the initial restart when he had that issue. Jonathan Herbert, after the issue between him and Haas Beverly, has fallen back to 12th. That puts him down 4 spots from where he started this race. And not only him, but really a general trend there on the pack is, we'll pull up that track map again one more time, is see a lot of drivers quickly starting to fade away here, spread out a little bit, and that trend will continue. The draft does assist here, but not as much as what we would see at, say, an Auto Club or a Michigan, or obviously even a Daytona or a Talladega. Tracks in which you can obviously draft through both the straightaways and the corners. You get here to Homestead, and draft's great on the straights. Helps you get a pull to that car in the front. As soon as you get into the turns, that draft acts as dirty air that prevents you from getting as much downforce on the nose as possible. Now, obviously, for that reason, driver's not a big fan of it. But for Charles Van Schaik right now, it's been rolling pretty smooth, although he has not been able to find anything to gain as of yet on that 54 machine of David Trailer. Still plenty of time to go. And obviously, Trailer running a pretty smooth lineup in front with clean air. Trailer not feeling too pressured at the moment. And I think for Van Schaik, he's okay with where he's running right now. Again, this is kind of the chance to learn about your car. You don't need to go up there and try to give it everything you got, make a mistake, and damage the car. But for David Trailer, 20 laps complete, and he has led all of them so far. Driver out of Conyers, Georgia. Again, if you missed us pre-race, oh man, big moment right there for David Trailer. Had to saw the wheel about 45 degrees back to the right after getting loose. And that might help Van Schaik catch up just a little bit. Got it down to about 0.8 of a second. But as I was mentioning, if you missed it pre-race, we'll give you another brief update on kind of the season in retrospect for the Championship 5. First up, David Trailer, and the driver out of Conyers, Georgia. And you wonder, how did he get here? Well, his path was pretty set in stone from early on in the season. 7 wins to make it to this point. Obviously, he won the championship last season in the trucks. That was really when you kind of felt like David Trailer was going to be dangerous and going to be a threat this season. And it has proved to be that way so far. Charles Van Schaik couldn't find victory lane until late in the playoffs, where he got the job done first at, I believe it was Kansas. And then obviously, or excuse me, was it Kansas? I believe it was. I'll double check on that. But then obviously after that, was able to find that spark. Got the job done at Daytona International Speedway. And then last week at North Wilkesboro. So that was the wins that got him propelled up to this point. And yeah, for Van Schaik, it was actually at Auto Club that he found that first win. So Van Schaik gets it done at the 2 mile and bigger tracks and the 1 mile and smaller tracks. And then you look back to at 5th position right now, where currently Mark Beverly has kind of been able to hold himself in that spot after fading for just a minute, but he's trying to see if he can get past the 42 of Winker. These are 2 of your Championship 5 drivers. Kevin Winker and Mark Beverly, though, only kind of fitting that they're running together when you think about how their seasons have played out. It's very similar. Both drivers, 0 wins to get to this Championship 5. And a lot of people are saying, oh, well, you know, maybe they deserve to be here. And the answer is, yeah, maybe more than some of the guys with wins, because you got to think about how consistent they had to be throughout the season to accumulate enough points to make it through to a championship, even without winning a race. So obviously, again, really good job for Mark Beverly and Kevin Winker to make it to this point. And both drivers going to be looking to break their winless streak potentially here tonight. And last but certainly not least, Clinton Woodby, who has now made it back up to 7th after that spin. Well, half spin, I should say, on the first lap of this race. And he has now, again, climbed his way back into the top 10. He's got 3 wins on the season to note. And those wins came at different stages. That wasn't all at once. And on top of that, he was also your Clash winner at Atlanta before the season started. So for Clinton Woodby, obviously has a pretty stout resume and how he got here. And also, if you were curious as to what the manufacturer breakdown looks like for these guys, well, up front, it's a Toyota, followed by a Ford, Chevy, and then you've got another Ford, and then another Toyota. So a pretty good mix overall between your Championship 5, with obviously the majority being Toyota and Ford. And you've got that one Chevy for Kevin Winker. So going to see if he can try to get the badge of championship here tonight. All right, 25 of 165 laps now in the books. If you're just tuning in again, we appreciate you being here. You're watching the Asphalt Outlaws Championship on PGR eSports. Seems like in retrospect, we still got a long ways to go, which we do, but closing in here on the end of stage number 1, which is going to be 3 laps away. And David Traylor crosses the line this time. And obviously not much side-by-side racing going on right now. Everybody trying to figure out their stuff, but I think that this restart, once we get back going green at the end of the stages, ooh, Dylan paused right there. Got a little too hot trying to run that high side and broke the cushion, got into the outside wall. But the point I was getting ready to make is I think that this restart after the stage break is going to be an extremely aggressive one, because obviously you never know. I mean, if this thing somehow goes green for a long time, that could be your final chance at a restart, and you want to get as much track position as you can before things get separated, and you really got to start trying to use up tires just to make up any ground. So Dylan Paz loses his spot. That pushes Clinton Woodby now up to 6th. He's going to try to chase down one of the loose lug nuts entries of Colton Hardy. You don't know if he's going to have enough time, though, as David Traylor saw 2 laps to go as he crossed the line that time. He's got the QH Design sponsorship on there. And for David Traylor, as he works off of turn number 2, I don't know if he's getting loose and just not really showing it, but man, looks like that car has been on rails pretty much for the most part since we've been watching, and minus the one exception when he obviously got a little bit loose, but kept it together, kept rolling. He works off of turn number 4. He will see 1 lap to go here in stage number 1. So if any drivers were thinking about flipping track position via a pit stop, you would have already wanted to do that. Nobody, though, going to make that decision. By the way, Jesse Calloway, some sort of issue for him, as you see him currently being scored in that last 13th position. And he is being scored as out of the race at the moment. So obviously, tough break there for Jesse. But how about this? As they work off of turn 4, David Traylor has led them all so far. Van Schaik chases, but couldn't get there. David Traylor is going to be your stage 1 winner here at Homestead. And So with that stage victory, pushes David Traylor 30 laps closer to grabbing a back-to-back championship here in the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series. Now again, for David Traylor, a lot of things that can change, a lot of things can happen, but just from what we saw, I mean, even what the gap was right there when they crossed the line, over a second and a half between David Traylor and Charles Van Schaik, I would say that this 54 car has got to be feeling pretty good right now. Maybe feeling even better now that he's gotten that stage victory. Well, we'll see if we can maybe talk to David Traylor here in a little bit. Before we get to him, though, didn't get a chance to talk to this guy pre-race. Let's see if we can go get a word here with Charles Van Schaik now that we're under our first caution here tonight. Hey, Charles, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah.
Well, man, I mean, what a season it's been. And, you know, I'll try not to hold you here for too long. I know we didn't get a chance to talk to you pre-race, but first off, let's talk about how that stage just went for you. You finished second, but the gap kept extending between you and the leader, David Traylor. What more do you feel like you're going to need in this long final stage to go get him?
I don't know. Figuring I didn't do any practice, I'm just trying to find my let-off point and figure out if the low line's better, high line's better. I'll be able to figure out a little bit more once I see the tire wear here, because it looks like it's going to be a 2-stop for the next stage. I might be able to stretch it to 1, but depending on how it goes, I might just have to push hard. I don't do much Xfinity other than this league, so what do we do? 20-something, 30 laps. They were my 32nd and 33rd lap I've ever done here, so.
Well, you looked pretty fast so far for the few amount of laps that you may have ran, but, you know, as we come out of these pit stops here and set up, you think about the fact that you won the last 2 races. I mean, you've been on fire. How do you come into tonight? Do you feel like the momentum's on your side, and do you feel like you can get the job done here?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I think I can. It all depends. Like I said, staying out of some trouble. I know we got a light car count, so that shouldn't be an issue. Like I said, just how the strategy's going. I saw Winkers hang back a little bit, then start ripping the wall. I saw David was moving, you know, trying to find the right line. So we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. Well, Charles, we'll let you get ready here to get back to the green flag for the final stage, but we appreciate you talking to us. You look fast so far. We'll see if we can talk to you at the end of this race.
Sounds good.
All right, so there you go. Charles Van Schaik, one of the Turn 4 racing drivers. We'll slide him back down to his fellow teammates, and as we get ready to go back to green flag racing here, see if we can pull up David Traylor and see how he's feeling after getting the stage 1 win right there. By the way, looking at it, doesn't look like anybody had any issues on the pit, so everybody's good to go there. So we are getting ready to go back to green flag racing as the lights go off on the pace car. And David, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, gotcha, Austin.
Well, I know we talked to you pre-race, but here you are. You get the job done in stage 1. How did you feel about the car so far, and how you feel about your chances the rest of the way?
Car feels okay. Not gonna lie, I made a little bit of a mistake, not resetting the brake bias after qualifying. So there's a little more front brake in it than I'd like, but you know, we're just gonna have to adjust to it and figure it out from there. So once I can get my groove back, we'll ride this thing out. But I feel good, so we'll see how this next 132 laps goes.
Sounds like a plan. Well, you seem to have it figured out so far, so we'll see if you can make those adjustments and take home the victory here tonight. David, we appreciate you talking to us. Good luck here in stage 2.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Austin.
All right. Slide David Traylor back down to his team. And, you know, that's interesting, as I feel like a lot of people forget about that. You can't make any physical adjustments to the car, but you can adjust certain things such as brake bias. And that's one of those things where if you adjust it more to the rear, it tends to loosen the car up. If you adjust it more to the front, it tends to tighten the car up. So interesting notes there from David Traylor. We'll have to see if that means he's a little too loose, which would be my assumption, or if maybe he had, well, he said he had a little bit too much front, so he might be a little too tight. Nonetheless, though, green flag now back in the air, and saw the chaos there start to sort itself out through 1 and 2, but further back here, still a little bit of 2x2. That's Colton Hardy alongside the 42 of Kevin Winker, as David Traylor continues to lead up front. And for Kevin Winker here, I mean, this is a crucial point. You got to try to get this spot, and obviously Clinton Woodby now has broken his way back inside the top 5. Didn't take him long to do so as soon as he grabbed that caution brake. And now that Kevin Winker, once he's able to get this spot back, that'll line up your championship 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll tell you, we don't design it to go that way, but it seems like when you've got the class of the field in the championship, that's usually how it shows itself. But Kevin Winker still working this top lane. You can definitely tell he's getting a little desperate here. Trying anything as, whoa, watch out back. Haas Beverly, some contact into Evan Schilling. Those two bump and bang off of each other. They all save it. Wow, that was a close call. That could have ended a whole lot worse as we hop on board now with Kevin Winker, who's in front of that chaos, currently just in front of Colton Hardy. And for Winker, carrying an onboard view for us here tonight, it's the driver out of Campbellsport, Wisconsin. So as it stands right now, for Kevin Winker, rolling on the high side, he's able to get more momentum on the straights up there, but so far, it has not seemed like that top lane has been the fastest here tonight. And part of me almost wonders if that's because of the track temp. Again, 81 degrees to start the race, and it has not changed since. And as the lights continue to get brighter, I think that trend is going to kind of favor the drivers that are maybe better on the bottom. But obviously, it's going to be interesting to continue to watch. So again, 37 of 165 laps complete. As we will reset here. So I apologize. SDK was giving me a brief hiccup. Nonetheless, though, back up front we look. And 55, Mark Beverly has moved up to second, trying to track down the 54 of David Traylor. Now, this is how the last restart went for Beverly. The short run speed was there, at least in terms of that second place running spot. But then as the run started to go on a little bit further, he had an issue, got a little loose, lost his spot to Van Schaik. And then once he lost that first spot, just seemed like it kind of started to snowball a little bit from there. And then obviously you see the front here. That race car gets me every time. I always think he's got some damage, but it's just the way the paint scheme's set up. Beautiful looking Asphalt Outlaws machine. That Dark Horse Ford Mustang for Mark Beverly. And again, as much as we give a tip of the hat to the sponsors for everything they do, you got to also give a tip of the hat to the league admins and owners for everything they do. Obviously, the Asphalt Outlaws Racing League, owned by Mark Beverly. And I believe it might be co-owned by Haas Beverly, but everything that these guys do is put these events on every week, organize the payouts, organize the broadcasts. And as David Traylor continues to lead here, Beverly's getting ready to put some pressure on him. 55 up top, thought he would get enough of a run there to close the gap on Traylor down the front stretch. And he gets it to under 2/10, but obviously not close enough yet to make a move. And you wonder here if it's little cat and mouse from David Traylor, you know, trying to save what he can until Beverly gets there, and then trying to pick that pace right back up. And there you go. Just that little brief slide right there for Mark Beverly. Van Schaik sees that, and he's got to be licking his chops right now, just hoping that Beverly will make one more mistake. And if he does, Van Schaik's going to be there to get that spot. Look how much better Van Schaik's able to roll the center of the corner compared to Mark Beverly. Beverly obviously trying anything he can here to run some speed. Now, when they get down into the corner, this is where I also talk about that cat and mouse game. This time, Mark Beverly chose to go high. David Traylor went low, so Beverly got a little bit of clean air. But what David Traylor kind of will try to do if he feels like Mark's a lot faster is he'll try to take away his line as they get in the corner. Block off that clean air so that Mark Beverly gets a little tight. This time, though, Traylor back to the bottom. Beverly up top again. And it looks like Beverly may have some momentum here. We'll see if he can use it down the front stretch. Not quite that time. Got a little bit tight in the center of the corner. Had to get out of the gas. So David Traylor continues to stay as your leader for now. Kevin Winker trying to throw himself right back into the mix. And obviously Clinton would be there as well. Your front 5, throw them all under a blanket. And it's all your championship 5 drivers. You can see them all within the same exact camera view right there. Winker, though, like a rocket ship, is going to get past Van Schaik and maybe get past the 55 of Mark Beverly right here. That'd be a huge pickup for Kevin Winker. But this is all exactly what Traylor wants to see. The more these guys race in his mirror, the more they waste tire, and the more it allows him to save tire. And obviously, you heard Van Schaik mention that he thinks it's going to be a 2-stop. You figure if these guys went back green right around lap 35 or so, and then they made it to, let's see, if they 165, you figure about 130 laps, they'd have to stretch it to about 70 laps or so on a fuel run to try to make it on one stop, at least somewhere in that general margin. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. I think Van Schaik might have been right on his first strategy call, which was going to be 2 pit stops. But obviously, if we get a caution at any point, then that would change that strategy, most likely to become a 1-stopper. So with Mark Beverly continuing to work the outside here, at least for the top 5, no sign of tire fall off just yet. Now, after these top 5, you've got Colton Hardy, who is kind of on an island all by himself. In fact, the track map will show you that loud and clear. And he is getting chased right now by the 18 of Evan Schilling, who is also on an island by himself. Haas Beverly by himself. Dylan Hawes by himself. And then the next somewhat of a pack is back here with Lance Thompson, Jonathan Herbert, and Keith Prince, who is also currently all by himself. So they're all trying to play catch up to the groups in front. But as each lap goes by, and as, well, I should say as each restart goes by, but obviously we've only had 2 to note of so far, but each restart, drivers get better. And how about that power move right there from Mark Beverly? Stuck it off down on the inside to see if it would stick. It did. And how about this? New leader up front. Mark Beverly has found speed here at Homestead, takes the lead. Now let's see how long he's able to keep it. David Traylor behind him, putting the pressure on, and looks like Traylor might be considering trying to get back to the bottom here off of turn 4. And rather, that was actually off of turn 2. He wasn't able to do it. But I think if you're David Traylor here, I know he's a lot better at this stuff than I am, and he might be just kind of playing a little game right now where he doesn't feel like he needs to get by the 55 in a hurry. But I was going to say, I would almost think that you need to try to get right back in this clean air. If you're David Traylor, you let Mark Beverly sit out there too long, tires might equalize, and then as the tires start to really wear out, he could have the advantage, as obviously he would have a little bit more front downforce than anybody behind him. The 54 Trailer, after losing that first spot, oh man, Mark Beverly, some slight contact to the outside wall, was able to pull the wheel to get that car off of the wall, but in the process, almost allowed David Traylor to sneak by. Charles Van Schaik has now also started wrapping that white line on the bottom of the racetrack, and as he slides up, David Traylor will draw back even now with the 55 Mark Beverly down the front stretch. He's going to try to grab a side draft before he goes back down into the corner. And it looks like he did get at least a little bit of that side draft. Beverly, though, could be a tough pass if he can keep this car together on the high side. As they work off the corner, drag race down the back stretch. It'll go to Mark Beverly. He was able to use that momentum to pull clear of David Traylor. And as we approach 50 laps complete here tonight, up front and leading this race is Mark Beverly after it was all David Traylor through stage 1, pure domination. Traylor now trying to see if he can get back the spot that he has obviously felt the most comfortable in here tonight. All right, well, as we will come across the completion of lap 50 next time, the front 5 have single filed out, and that means we're going to head to break. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us as Mark Beverly leads at Homestead.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point. But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
by 3. Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. Hard into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway. 55 of 165 laps complete here in the Asphalt Outlaws Championship. As we turn our attention now back to the 5th place running, Kevin Winker. There's the onboard view and the real-life view of the cockpit for Kevin Winker, who right now, again, up 5 positions where he started this race at. And I think it's almost ironic that he said both himself and Mark Beverly were considered backmarkers in this event here tonight. Well, Winker's already gained 5 spots, and for Beverly, he was just leading this race about a lap ago. I wonder if he had an issue here or if Trailer just found his way past, because he was leading basically right before we came back to break. And show you how that pass kind of unfolded here in case you missed it. This is going to be as they're coming off of, I think it's going to be off of turn 2 maybe, so where Beverly's going to have this issue. It was actually a few laps before that, so it looks like Trailer was able to set this up. And then Beverly just obviously losing another spot after that. Either way, though, David Trailer back on point. So it seems like the kind of brief retreat to save some tire worked out in the favor of David Trailer. As it currently stands, again, he is your race leader. Clinton Woodby back and forth. And all of your championship 5 still, again, are clustered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as it stands right now. By the way, if you're wondering what's going to happen with the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series next season, well, again, it's not going to be under Asphalt Outlaws Racing, but you are going to have some of the same guys that ran in Asphalt Outlaws changing it over. One of those being Colton Hardy, who's going to help take over. They're going to rebrand things a little bit. They're going to bring back a broadcast, and they are going to pretty much pick up things where they leave off here after the season ends tonight. And by the way, speaking of broadcasts, for any viewers that are curious, along with sponsors, as I saw some chat about this the other day, and you know, I guess want to just make it clear that I do apologize for the races that were missed, although unfortunately, something I couldn't help. I mean, you go back to the start of the season before things kicked off. You know, last year, obviously broadcasting for these guys didn't miss that many races. But this year, when we were kind of talking about things, Haas first contacted me about broadcasting. Said, you know, I'd love to. I love these guys. However, with the college semester going on and the final semester going to be in spring, which I'm currently in now, I knew things were going to get chaotic. I knew things were going to get busy. And this was one of the things that I worried about, was missing quite a few races more than I would like to for obviously real life priorities. And it seems like that's kind of exactly the way things have panned out. So that's why you didn't see me through a lot of the races, and you didn't see me last week, is priorities, real life stuff going on, but apologies for it. Obviously glad to be back here tonight. All right, enough of the personal convos. As we go back live now to the action on track, where David Trailer continues to lead. And again, Van Schaik second, Mark Beverly third. Woodby and Winker, the other 2 championship 5, currently rounding out the top 5. Keith Prince, by the way, 3 laps down. I'm not sure what issue got him in this position. In fact, we have a little bit of data. This was under yellow here, and I think I know what's going to happen. He may have blinked out here. Ooh, technical issue. You see the wheel lock dead left right there for Keith Prince, so maybe some sort of technical issue as he eventually locks the brakes up. Comes to a complete stop. Tries to get that issue all sorted out, but that would obviously explain the issue Keith Prince had. And then as he starts to get back rolling here, does he have another issue? Did it kind of fix itself from this point on? Now, it looks like it did fix itself right there for Keith Prince. But again, 3 laps down. Now, if we get a caution, he is the only car that's not on the lead lap. So assuming he wasn't the caution, he will get at least one of those laps back and to maybe try to get a free pass if he were to be involved. But, I mean, with the way things are trending right now, you could just look at the track map and probably get this same conclusion here. Caution not looking very likely. It is a bit of an interesting break, though, in the way the field's split up. You've got about 1st through 7th located from turn 1 to turn 2. And then you've got all the way back 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. All back just now crossing the start-finish line. So they will fall victim to being lappers here if this race continues to go green for, I don't know, probably another 20 laps, if even that long, before David Traylor's going to start to really track those guys down and see if he can potentially start putting people a lap down and make that less people you got to worry about if we get a late race restart. But again, the only people he is concerned with here tonight are the drivers highlighted in purple, because those are the one that he's battling for the $200 and the championship trophy. Kevin Winker, who sits now back in the 6th spot, just lost a position here to Colton Hardy. And for Colton Hardy right now, he's up 2 positions from where he started this race at. The driver who really started to pick it up at the end of last season, and then obviously came into this season with pretty high hopes. Wanted to see if he could get the job done somehow. You wondered if he was going to have a hard time with it or if it was going to come pretty quick. And I think based off the way the end of the last season went, I thought this guy was going to find a way to victory lane pretty quick, and that's exactly how it went, but not quite as quickly as I thought. He got to victory lane pretty quick once he found his rhythm. And of course, that came at Talladega early on in the season, but I thought initially he was going to find it maybe even in the Clash. It took a few races under his belt this season before he was able to find that victory for the first time, but once he did, you just saw that confidence go through the roof, and it seems like every week after that, he's either involved in a wreck, or if he's not, he shows you that he can produce a good finish. So the consistency maybe a little shaky for Colton Hardy, but it's not of his doing, as again, the runs where he's been able to keep it clean, he has had a very, very good average finish. All right, 66 of 165 laps now complete if you're just tuning in. Appreciate you being here as David Traylor continues to lead the field off of turn number 4 as he crosses the stripe. 67 of 165 laps complete here at Homestead Miami. And, you know, if we go to the blimp cam here, I was still curious. I mentioned at the beginning of the race, I thought some drivers would really try to work the wall for speed. The only drivers that we've seen actually commit to the wall, it doesn't seem like have actually had that much speed. Now, Mark Beverly was, I think, arguably the only driver that I've seen so far tonight that had a contendable car that he was able to still make run really fast on the high side. However, you wonder if the trade-off was using more tire, because even though Beverly led for a little while, he has since fallen back to that 3rd position, and that is currently where he runs now. So for Mark Beverly, obviously still some work to do here. We'll see what happens. David Traylor, though, is your race leader. He's by far led the most laps here tonight, but the only one that's going to matter will be that last one. It's all about who finishes the highest of your championship 5. They could all finish in the last 5 spots of the race, and whichever one of them finished in the highest of those last 5 spots, that will be the driver who takes home the hardware and the big money here tonight. By the way, next place that we head here on PGR eSports is going to be after this over to Super Speedway Kings. Jimmy Crow going to be putting on some Super Speedway action on a Friday night, so make sure you do check that out if you're looking for any more sim racing. Well, I feel like it gets tough because we've said so much about these guys already, but at the same time, you could go on for them for hours on end because they've all just done such a good job, and it's really no surprise that the drivers, for the most part, well, I shouldn't say for the most part, but a fair amount of drivers that you've seen in the championship this season were in it last season. Obviously, the big name, David Traylor, because he won the championship last season. But you can't forget about Mark Beverly, Clinton Woodby, also making it to the championship last season. And so now, and obviously one of the drivers that I was going to mention that we don't see here that we saw last season was Eric Hegdahl. A little surprising to not see him quite be able to advance. I think he came relatively close, but no cigar here to round things off. 70 of 165 laps now complete, and so the next topic of conversation is going to be pit stops. And when we get closer to them, who pits when? Now, if you think about it, or go back to it, I should say, that first it wasn't even a pit stop because we technically were going back green, but I was going to say the last pit stop these guys made was under caution at the stage. We went back green, probably about 35 laps in the books. So you figure 35 laps complete. If they can make it 50 laps, that would take them to right around 85. If they can make it 70 laps, that takes them right around to 105. But I think that they're going to be trying to split the difference there and go somewhere in the middle. I'm thinking they might try to go maybe around 60 laps, maybe a little bit further. It's just going to be kind of a split on go as far as you can, unless you don't think you can make it on one stop. Then maybe you try to play in a little strategy of when you decide to go in. So Van Schaik, who's in second there, had to fend off Mark Beverly just briefly, but Beverly's still content in that third spot. Clinton Woodby, who currently sits in fourth, not really having to try to fend off Colton Hardy just yet. And for Kevin Winker, now starting to fall in the wrong direction here. You wonder if the grip's just starting to go away for that race car, as he currently sits in the 8th position. He's up 2 spots from where he started this race at. As he goes into the corner there, you hear the big lift out of the throttle. And I mean, even as he tries to get that car all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack, looks like he's maybe a little bit tight in the center of the corner. And then as gets up right here, looked a little better that time. I'll tell you what here, I wonder, because Kevin Winker here, you see, he has fallen a lap down. I don't know if he decided to pit. That was my only guess, and I think he did. Okay, he did. I was wondering, I was like, how is he tracking down Trailer here if he's on old tires? Well, the answer is he's not. So Kevin Winker has actually decided to pit. This is interesting, because if you look at how he might be trying to break this up, maybe trying to go right around 40-something, 40-something, 40-something for the 3 runs here. So that's definitely an interesting call right there for Kevin Winker. We'll see how well this works out. Now, obviously, when everything first cycles out, he will be scored probably as your leader because he's making up so much time on these pressure tires. Looks like Lance Thompson currently sitting in the pits, although I'm not sure if he's getting service or if he had some sort of issue, as that car appears to not be moving. Again, Jesse Calloway retired from the race. And then Haas Beverly got some reports that he may have made a pit stop. And so you wonder at what point does Trailer and Company decide to bring it in for their pit stop. And I mentioned that for Kevin Winker going with that strategy, if these guys are going to commit to one stop and they're a little too close where they either have to start saving a lot of fuel or maybe something on the other end of the spectrum, they have to, I don't know, save some tire, whatever the case may be. If the pace falls off for some reason here for Trailer and Company, I think that's when you would see the strategy that Kevin Winker is doing work out. But, I mean, at the pace that David's running right now, I don't think it's going to matter because he's running away from everybody, as he is still your leader by over 5 seconds here at Homestead. Mark Beverly has now taken second away from Charles Van Schaik, who, again, you heard in the interview there, said no practice. And, man, do you see how far left he had the steering wheel turn right there on the corner? It tells you just how tight his race car is starting to get on him. And watch how far he turns this wheel left. I mean, he's got that thing probably 70 degrees to the left. I mean, that is putting a lot of wheel into a race car, which, again, usually indicating that he's probably getting a little tight here as these tires start to wear out. We'll have to see if he searches around for any grip, or if he's just going to try to kind of minimize the bleeding here until we get to the green flag pit stop. Speaking of green flag pit stop, guess who? David Trailer now making his way down the pits. So he will take fuel and 4 tires here. And man, for David Trailer, you know, I almost think that by him pitting early here, this is just going to hurt everybody else that much more because, I mean, obviously he'll still come out here, I think, behind Kevin Winker, but he's going to have fresher tires than everybody that he's been faster than at this time. Now, obviously, he'll have to play a little defense later in the run, but who knows? Kevin Winker, though, look how far out ahead he came just from as many laps as he stayed out on those newer tires before Trailer pit. And so here comes David Trailer just now leaving the pits as Kevin Winker is basically working through the middle of 3 and 4 now at a turn 4. So if you're David Trailer, you've got quite a bit of ground here to try to go make up on Kevin Winker. Again, you see the highlighted 7th place running David Trailer. He's trying to catch the 6th, make it actually 4th place running Kevin Winker, who is exiting 2 as Trailer crosses the line. Looks like we are going to see a few more pit stops now. Clinton Woodby just wrapped up his pit stop. Fuel and tires has been the call so far across the board. By the way, Lance Thompson still sitting in the pit, so obviously some sort of issue for him. Now for Mark Beverly, who continues to stay out on the racetrack, you got to wonder if he's either A, hoping for a caution, or maybe trying to stretch this thing to a one-stopper, hoping that everybody else has to make it too. But either way, for Mark Beverly, he is now being scored as your race leader. As, by the way, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. A couple people in the chat here tonight. Standing in Requiem says, Woodby's #1 fan. Let's go, Big Mac. Tour Operator says, hashtag Winker Nation. Standing in Requiem says, Big Mac as well. Megan White says, let's go, Woodby. And David Traylor says, let's finish this right, son. All right, well, there you go. A lot of different fans showing out here tonight. I feel like usually I'm used to seeing Kevin Winker fans be the most abundant here in the chat, but it looks like Clinton Woodby's got him outdone here tonight. So we'll see if Clinton Woodby can get the job done. He's had a solid run so far, and he's not too offset, at least in terms of pitch strategy with what some of the other drivers are doing, but and in terms of pace, I think that's got to be the major issue here, is he's just so far back from David Traylor. In fact, he's over 6 seconds back from David Traylor. Now, Traylor is still over 8 seconds, almost 9 seconds back from Kevin Winker, who again is making this a two-stopper. So this is interesting. I'm curious to see how quickly the tires fall off for that 42 machine of Kevin Winker. If they fall off pretty quickly, obviously Traylor going to narrow that gap down pretty quick, but if it's a slow fall off here and Winker can stay pretty consistent, he's got an opportunity here to potentially try to run this thing till, I don't know, maybe another 30, 40 laps or so, and then try to go into pit, take final set of tires, final fuel up, and come back out, see if he can hold off. But even though 8 seconds is a lot, 8 seconds over the next 30 to 40 laps, I don't know if it's quite going to hold, as now David Traylor has it under 8 seconds, so you can see that 1 second went away in just the course of a couple laps, and you figure if he's losing a second every couple of laps, it's only going to be 14 to 20 laps or so before he ultimately loses that lead to David Traylor, assuming that obviously things continue to cycle as they are. Now for Mark Beverly, again, still no pit stop yet. Both him and Charles Van Schaik currently on what seems like maybe a one-stop strategy. And if that is the case, they're going to have to still probably stretch this thing to, yeah, man, if I had to guess, probably right around lap 100 at the least. I don't know if they're going to be able to make it that far, but if you feel like you maybe don't quite have the speed to match David Traylor, then I don't think it's a bad idea. I think the bigger concern would be if they had to start saving, because obviously as it stands right now, you see David Traylor is about 26 seconds back. Now he's going to obviously trim that gap down quite a bit before these two would make a pit stop, and then when they come out, they'll be behind, and it would be a more so a question of what is that gap relative to how they all cycle out once David Traylor pits his next time. So Clinton Woodby currently the lowest running of your Championship 5 drivers. He currently sits back in 7th. And you've got David Traylor, who's currently in 5th, Kevin Winker 4th. Those two separated now by only about 6 seconds. Charles Van Schaik 2nd. And then Mark Beverly currently is your race leader. So it'll be 86 of 165 laps complete when they cross the line this next time. And so we are officially at the halfway point in this race. In fact, we're a good amount over halfway. With 86 of 165 laps now complete. Again, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. You are watching the Asphalt Outlaws Championship presented by The Winning Bid here at Homestead Miami Speedway. And it's been mostly dominance so far from David Traylor, really the only driver who it's kind of felt like has been able to hold a candle to him and has been able to lead a few laps himself has been Mark Beverly. And then we got to the first round of green flag stops after a pretty clean stage. And that led to David Traylor pitting early, and now the 55 of Mark Beverly, who continues to stay out, just trying to run this thing as long as he physically can. As, well, just as I say, it looks like he felt like he couldn't go any longer. Mark Beverly decides to bring it down to the pits. Will Van Schaik do the same? He might, but he hasn't pit yet, so the 23 will assume the lead for the moment. I think if you're Van Schaik right here, you got to try everything you can to either commit and make it a one-stop, or if not, either pit right now or try to just run the fastest laps you possibly can here until this tank runs out. Because either way, David Traylor is coming in. He's coming in a hurry, and just based off the speed for that 23 here, he's coasting. He is not running full pace. Well, he may not be coasting, although I don't know. David Traylor is certainly making up time pretty quickly. It's 23. Let's see if he's putting the clutch in as they enter into the corner. Well, he is not. It's just how much the pace has fallen off here on old tires for Van Schaik, and then very, very easy and gentle to try to get back on the hammer. So he can try all he wants, but he's going to get caught. Eventually here, it's just going to be a matter of when. Looks like we've had a brief loss, and all right, and apologies for that. Welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway. Looks like the internet had a brief hiccup right there, but thankfully it didn't stay down, so we are right back to where we left off. And obviously for Van Schaik, mentioning that even with the strategy he's on, even if it works and he's able to make it a one-stopper, I still think the pace he's on is just too slow. I mean, you figure if David Traylor's going to just about catch him in this run, imagine what Traylor's going to do in the next run after the pit stops. I just think for Van Schaik, it's a valiant effort, but it's not going to work, and there you go. He's going to bring it down to the pits. You saw him get woed up before he got to those yellow barrels. So a pit stop now for Van Schaik will just about round off green flag pit stops. Evan Schilling currently still being scored as your leader. And I have a feeling he may not have made his pit stop yet either, but as it stands, he is currently just under 9 seconds ahead of second place Kevin Winker. By the way, Traylor has still not caught Winker yet. This is really interesting. I thought that these two would be either side by side or Winker would have gotten by now, but Traylor would have gotten by. He is not yet. In fact, he's still about 3.5 seconds back. Now he's starting to catch him quicker and quicker, but that's still a pretty significant amount of time for Kevin Winker to stay out in the lead, almost enough to where if I'm Winker, I'd feel encouraged that maybe this is the right strategy here. We'll have to see how it all pans out. There's Van Schaik going to lose a lap, but he should be able to get it back pretty quickly. With 91 of 165 laps complete, Kevin Winker continuing to lead. He still would have to try to hold off Traylor for probably another 20 laps or so. That may be a little bit too much of an ask, but obviously got a very valiant and solid effort here on the strategy call for Kevin Winker. Who knows, maybe it works out, as Mark Beverly, by the way, finds himself a lap down, and didn't mention that when it happened, but that's a huge, huge sequence of misfortune, if you will, for Mark Beverly. And I'm looking here because I want to go back and actually show you what happened to Mark, and I think he's just going to get a speeding penalty here. Obviously, that's probably going to end his night if we don't get a caution, but in terms of the speeding penalty for Beverly here, it's just, it's one of those things, it's tough because you're going for it. You got to try to make up some time, but when you get a penalty, whether it's speeding, unsafe exit, doesn't matter. This kind of thing can happen, but let's see here. Let's see where he gets his penalty. Was it a speeding penalty or was it a separate penalty? Certainly seemed like he was well under control right there when they got into the pits, and then as he gets down to his box here, I don't think he's going to have any major issues here either. He gets into his box, 4 tires total. He's going to take 2 on the right and 2 on the left. And as they drop the jack, does he go? He does not. Right there. Okay, so he had some sort of penalty. I'm just not sure exactly what it was, but some sort of issue here for Mark Beverly to be able to take tires and fuel, but still just have to sit in the pits. He didn't miss the commitment cone. No, he doesn't miss that. Not even close. So I got to assume maybe he just got a speeding penalty somehow. And if that was the case, well, actually, regardless what the case was, that's a tough break because for Beverly being a lap down, not only is he going to have to try to get past Jonathan Herbert, who's also a lap down, he could be in danger of losing another lap as the race goes on. And if we don't get a caution, doesn't matter if he's on the lead lap or not, because he'll have no chance of getting back to your leaders and try to race for it at the end. Well, Traylor must have heard me talking because he has now closed it to within a second, under a second rather, actually about half a second now. And for Traylor here, I think the big question is going to be, can he find a way to get by this 42 within the next 5 laps? Because that's about as long as I think Kevin Winker is going to be able to hold him off. Now, once he gets by, then you obviously ask the next question, which is, when does Kevin Winker pit? I think for Winker here, if he could stay even just relatively close to David Traylor, this strategy could still work, because remember, he was way, way off the pace and way far behind compared to David Traylor when he pulled this strategy off for that first round of green flag stops. So if he tries it again, but he's a little closer, you almost wonder maybe it works out a little better for him. We'll have to wait and see. But now that he has lost that spot, David Traylor is officially going to go back to the points here at Miami. And for David Traylor here, no pressure out back. The next closest car after Kevin Winker is Clinton Woodby, who as it stands currently sits over 5 seconds back from from David Traylor. And so even though Woodby took tires the latest of the three, it's not going to matter. And all right, here you go. Winker, he's committing to the full short pitch strategy. He stayed out until that 54 Traylor got around him. And as soon as he did, he decided now, okay, I'm going in for my final set. So he feels like, well, I shouldn't say feels like, he knows that he can make it on tires. And now it'll be interesting to see if this almost kind of forces the hand of David Traylor. Dylan Paul's making his pit stop as well. And that beautiful looking number 10 Toyota Supra. It's got a cool paint scheme and a couple of cool sponsors on that car. Nonetheless, though, still wondering if this is going to, like I said, force the hand of David Traylor. Does he feel like he needs to pit now to try to stay relatively even with the 42, who it really kind of took him a while to get around? So far, it doesn't seem like he's got any lack of confidence in what his strategy is and what his capabilities are in that race car with the way it's been going for him so far here tonight. So as he crosses the line this time, it'll be 99 of 165 laps complete. So as we're coming up on the 100 lap mark, we approach 65 laps to go here at Homestead. We're going to go ahead and take another break. We'll stay side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us. We'll be back here in the championship.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point. But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway, the Asphalt Outlaws Championship. Now just 60 laps remaining. And again, when you've got 13 cars and you've only got 6 on the lead lap, this is the point in that race where as a driver it starts to become really, really mentally exhausting. But for David Traylor, if you're out in front knowing that you're 60 laps away from a championship and $200 to go with it, I gotta think he's pretty dialed in right now, and it certainly seems that way with the laps he's been putting down. Now, I did want to show everybody a little interesting graphic right here. David Traylor, look at his last lap, 34.941. How about Kevin Winker? Look at his laps with fresh tires, 33.525, and that wasn't even his fastest lap. I'm looking back to lap 100 or so. So, I mean, you do that in of itself, that's almost a second and a half worth of fall off, and David's not even on the oldest possible tire. So the point is, that's how big of the difference, how big of a difference there is here between old tires and new tires. So every lap here that David Traylor stays out is how much farther behind he's going to be when he comes out of the pits, at least in reference to Kevin Winker. Now, obviously, he's not the only one on the strategy that he's on. Clinton Woodby is kind of on a similar strategy to David Traylor, and right now it has him running second, but you know, I think at this point, the only two that are really still in it with a chance is going to be Kevin Winker and David Traylor. I think Traylor's obviously the favorite at the moment, unless we get a caution. Then obviously that pulls all of your championship 5, or at least 4 out of the 5 back into it. Obviously, Mark Beverly currently still a lap down, fighting for everything just to see if he can get back in either that lucky dog spot, get that lap back the hard way, or obviously he would hope to get the free pass if we get a caution. Because otherwise, for Mark Beverly, if we get a caution, he doesn't get that free pass, he's going to be in a tough spot. And for Kevin Winker here, who's currently about 28 seconds behind David Traylor, I'm telling you, he is going to have a huge gap on the 54. Once things cycle through, it's going to be a matter of, will that gap hold up? I mean, David Traylor just continues to run laps here. And I think for David, he might be trying to wait till they get closer to the, lap 120-ish mark before he makes his final green flag stop. Now, I can say that for Kevin Winker, although he's going to feel really fast right now and come out with a big lead, he's also going to be on those tires way longer than David Traylor will have been by the end of the race, which means that handling's probably going to be all but gone for the 42. He's going to be struggling just to hang on, as David Traylor is still going to probably have tires that kind of feel like what they would if you were in the middle of a run, where he should still have some grip at least to work with. Now 110 of 165 laps complete, so we are approaching 50 laps to go. We will probably take one more commercial break as things get a little bit closer. As Keith Prince makes his way down to his pit stall, he will pit for 4 tires and fuel. And for Keith right now, who does sit in 10th, he is currently down 4 spots from where he started this race at. You saw the right side go up. Now you see the left side go up. And for Keith Prince, he will make his way back out of the pits. No harm, no foul there. But man, David Traylor has been just absolute money here tonight. By the way, Haas Beverly and Lance Thompson both sitting in the pits. Haas looks like he's got a little bit of damage there on the right front. Not sure what that's from, but you almost wonder if he maybe decided to call it a night. As yeah, Haas Beverly not moving. Well, if that is the case, that now narrows us down to 10 drivers remaining in the race, and again, only 6 of them currently being scored on the lead lap. Of those 6 being scored on the lead lap, 4 of them are your championship 5 drivers. The only one that's not is Mark Beverly, who currently sits a lap down. So as we turn our cameras now back towards the front of the field, that gap for Kevin Winker, he continues to make up time on David Traylor, and it's just going to continue to go that way until Traylor eventually decides to pit. But obviously right now he's feeling pretty good about staying out. Feels like this might be the right strategy call. Kevin Winker, meanwhile, there he is in the 42. He's also got pretty clean track around him right now. I was curious as to if he had any lappers that he was trying to contend with, or if he had clean air similar to what David Traylor was working with right now. It looks like he does. But there you see on the track map, they're separated by almost a full straightaway now, as Kevin Winker works his way off of turn number 4, right as David Traylor is working his way into turn number 3. So once we hit, I would say 40 laps to go, that's when I think the guys that are on the two-stop strategy kind of need to pit at the very latest. I think you start going any longer than that, you're really putting yourself in jeopardy of running out of time if this thing goes green in trying to track down the 42 of Kevin Winker. Obviously, Kevin Winker will come out in front, but I just don't know how much and how long he's going to have tires to try to fend off the 54 of David Traylor. And again, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. You are watching the Asphalt Outlaws Championship on PGR eSports. And just to get you caught up with where we are, we have been, well, actually, we're currently in the thick of a really, really long green flag run that started to kick off the final stage, which was right around lap 35. Now, we had our first round of green flag stops. Kevin Winker went with a really early pit stop, came out, was in front of David Traylor for quite a while before Traylor finally caught him, made the pass. Right as he did, Kevin Winker went in and made another pit stop. And now here they are, Winker back out, and he's been out for a while on fresh tires. David Traylor has still not pit yet, and for everybody else, they're not really close enough to do much, so the strategy doesn't matter, although a lot of them did similar strategies to what the 54 of Traylor did, maybe pitting either a few laps later or a few laps sooner. But obviously, speed-wise, just haven't really been in the ballpark here tonight. David Traylor figured it all out pretty quick. Whenever you give this guy stage breaks to work with, he's extra dangerous because he finds out what line's the best, and he finds it out quick. As soon as he figures it out, he is able to really kind of take over and take control of these races. So with 117 of 165 laps as they cross the line this time, still, I would say, right around 5, anywhere from about 5 to 9 laps away from when I think you expect this next pit stop for David Traylor. Now, in terms of if he wanted to go as long as he possibly could right here, then I would think that he'd probably go, let's see, if they pit right around lap 70-ish, in the 70s, he could probably go to right around lap, heck, I don't know, probably actually right around that window we just named. I mean, you figure, I think we saw some drivers make it 60-ish laps. Not much more than that, though. So for Traylor, he could maybe stretch it to around 130, which would be a handful of laps more than what I initially kind of suspected he would, but I don't see him trying to stretch it that far. We'll have to wait and see, though, as here's a little bit of a battle between two of the lap cars. And so this one going to be arguably just as fierce as what the leaders would do. But maybe not. Jonathan Herbert actually pretty respectful there. Very classy move. Lets Mark Beverly go by. He knows that they're both fighting for the lucky dog, but he also knows that Mark Beverly is fighting for a championship on top of that lucky dog, so he certainly would arguably need it a little bit more. And the only thing missing now from this equation, and I know David Traylor probably doesn't want to hear me say it, is a caution. Have not seen one yet in this extremely long green flag run, and it just seems like a lot of times when that's the case, it comes down to the end. All of a sudden, somehow, somewhere, something happens, and we get a caution. I'm sure David Traylor, this is one of the last things that he wants to have to worry about or hear right now, because if this race stays green, it's going to come down to just him and Kevin Winker, who, by the way, Kevin Winker now, he got that gap down to just under 22 seconds, and now it's been dwindling down very slowly. So he hasn't been cutting out those large chunks that he was on David Traylor, which is interesting because he's still running, I would assume, significantly faster laps. For Traylor, the last two laps, 35.1s. And then we go back here to Kevin Winker, 35.1s compared to 34.7 and 34.8. Well, I guess that kind of explains it there. So Winker has certainly been on the slowdown the last couple laps. Still making up maybe a couple of tenths a lap, but not making up the 1.5 second of what we saw when he initially took those fresh Goodyear tires and came back out on the racetrack. So it is now 45 laps to go here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Is David Traylor going to tuck in line here behind the 3 of Keith Prince? Prince going to try to get one of those laps back, and he indeed will. It's David Traylor just rolling around the bottom, still on cruise control, and at this point, if you got a favorite, might as well start putting your guesses in, because it's really looking like the lineup's starting to become a little bit more finalized here, at least towards the front. Again, the only big question is going to be how things shake out once Traylor does eventually make this pit stop. I'm still shocked he hasn't made it yet, and well, there you go, right on cue. He's going to make it now. So David Traylor going to take it in for his final stop here, which is going to be fuel and tires. And now it's that big question of where does he come out in comparison to Kevin Winker. Winker is 6th. Look for the 6th place dot on your screen, and you see it right now just working off of turn 4. So again, that is Kevin Winker. Let's see how much ground he can make up. David Traylor just getting ready to pull into his box. Now he does. So for Traylor, the call is going to be 4 tires and fuel. As there goes Kevin Winker currently in turn 1. He'll make it off of turn 2 before Traylor has even made it out of the pits. Also, you see Clinton Woodby looks like decided to make his stop. Colton Hardy as well. So as Traylor now makes his way out of the pits, still has to get up to speed, and while he's waiting to do so, you've got Kevin Winker who's exiting turn 4 as David Traylor looks like is just now exiting turn 2. So they've got just over half a track's worth of gap on each other. And for David Traylor here, it looks like he is about 21 seconds back. And so if you're wondering what does that mean, well, it means that David Traylor has a lot of work to do here over the course of the next 40 laps or so. Still very doable, especially with the speed he's had, and I don't think he's too nervous for those reasons. Now, Clinton Woodby decided to match him in terms of strategy. Clinton Woodby still 6 seconds back, so I wouldn't say he's completely dropped off the map, but obviously that's still, significant distance separating your leader and second place running car, certainly to the point where I think Clinton Woodby is going to need a caution. Just don't know if he's going to necessarily get it. Now, Kevin Winker here, it's going to be very, very interesting again, as I mentioned, because especially early on, these first 5-10 laps, David Traylor's really going to take out some chunks in terms of that time gap because he's on brand new tires compared to Kevin Winker, who's on somewhat older tires. And look at the lap times here. Well, they got separated, but there you go. Kevin Winker, 34.9, 34.9. David Traylor, 33.7. And he'll probably run another 33.7 or so this lap. So again, right around that 1.5 second gap difference or so. It's being shaved off each and every lap. And Van Schaik here, who's making his final pit stop, this one a little bit earlier than what I would have expected for the 25 based off the strategy that it seemed like he was going with. So as he makes it down now to his pit box, it'll be 4 tires and fuel. Just again, no reason to try anything different. 2 tires, the handling's not going to work here. You're going to lose all your track position. And obviously, I'm sure everybody, if they can, is trying to make sure that they're good on fuel for probably at least one overtime. As again, sometimes that's the way things tend to play out at the end of these races when things get really chaotic and really crazy. But for Van Schaik, as he'll pull back out on the racetrack, looks like he's going to be scored a lap down behind Mark Beverly for now. We still have a few drivers that need to pit here potentially. But for the most part, everybody getting their final stops in now. Evan Schilling has made his way into his box. 18 radar scope machine. Good looking colors. And I'll tell you what, I was looking at radar scope just a little while ago, and overall, going to be looking at it a lot tomorrow. If you live anywhere in the southeast, well, actually anywhere in pretty much the eastern central portions, I should say, of the country here tonight, you're probably feeling it. But man, tomorrow in the southeast, boy, we are going to see something that we have not seen in a long time. I'm telling you, if you live in the southeast, you really need to kind of tread lightly with what you do tomorrow, and make sure that you have plenty of warning systems around, because I think you're going to see a tornado outbreak. I think you're going to see some severe tornadoes. We're already seeing plenty of that, again, in portions of Missouri. I mean, even down further south, Arkansas, they're seeing their fair share of tornado warnings already here tonight. This stuff's all starting to move even further east. So just, again, keep an eye on the weather the next couple days. It's going to be some nasty stuff. And again, nonetheless, bringing that point up is, got a quick reminder of it, just seeing Evan Schilling, the paint scheme that he's running here tonight. All right, so back up front, can Kevin Winker find a way to hold off David Traylor? I think the obvious answer here is going to be no. Not with the gap that David Traylor is closing in on right now. I mean, 12 seconds from what was 21 seconds less than 5 laps ago. I mean, there's just no way that at that pace, if you're Kevin Winker, you can hold this lead. Even when he gets there, it's not like you're really going to have anything to try to necessarily race with. Obviously, though, still trying to fight for as good of a finish as you can get. Remember, second place in the championship still gets $100. Obviously, first place going to be taking home $200. And then the payouts slowly decrease from there. And fifth place in the championship is going to be the only one not taking home any cash here tonight. All right, so 130 laps now complete. 35 laps to go. Slowly but surely now starting to get down to the nitty-gritty here in this race. And Kevin Winker looks like he is really starting to struggle for grip here. It's the 42, now only about 10 seconds ahead of David Traylor, who, by the way, has actually extended his gap on Clinton Woodby. And so Woodby now about 8 seconds behind David Traylor. Was about 6 to 7 when they initially came out of the pits. Clinton Woodby rocking another beautiful paint scheme here tonight. It's kind of that neon orange has been his signature for the most part, but obviously always throws in a good variety of colors. But you always can appreciate what Clinton Woodby's doing, making sure that he gives one of the big sponsors a shout out. The winning bid, NASCAR Diecast Sales and Card Breaks. All that they do for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series. Not only this season, but they've been around for a few seasons. So again, obviously we appreciate everything that they do. As for Clinton Woodby right now, again, continues to try to kind of fight the handling of that race car. You saw his hand sawing on the wheel a little bit as they work through the corner. And as we now go back up towards the front, keep an eye on that gap. Scoring tower showing that gap continues to close. For Kevin Winker, that gap is now down to about 7.5 seconds. And if we had, I don't know, 10 laps to go right now, I would say maybe. But 33 laps to go, I would say there's no way, Jose. Not right now, not for Kevin Winker. But if we get a caution, still could absolutely change everything around right here. As in fact, it looks like they might be coming up to potentially try to put Mark Beverly another lap down. Now, for Mark Beverly here, I think he is one of the drivers that you can make an argument might fight pretty hard right here to try to stay on the lead lap. Because if we do get that caution, that's a make or break difference on if he still has a chance at going for the championship here or not. Obviously, for Beverly, doesn't want to fall a lap down and have to go into battle with Evan Schilling and a few of the other drivers that were a lap down. But it looks like Schilling, just as I mentioned, that is actually going to get his lap back right here. And so as Schilling does so, gets in front of Woodby. Gets in front of Winker, who actually pits. Wow, Kevin Winker with a pit stop here. Didn't see this one coming. And you almost wonder, what is this strategy call from Kevin Winker? This is really, really interesting here. This is not what I expected to see from the 42. First off, let's see what he decides to take here. Is it going to be 4 tires? Looks like it. And obviously he had to work into the pits as quick as he can here. He's got to do the same coming out. But this is a very, very interesting call here for Kevin Winker. Instead of splitting it into 2 green flag stops, he actually split it into 3. Now he's going to have brand new tires, so he can go out there and run as hard as he wants here for about the next 30 laps or so until this race is all said and done. That's what he's arguably going to try to do. I think that is the strategy call, but I mean, even trying that, I got to assume that he's still going to be so far back. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, he almost lost a lap right there to David Traylor. Even if he is faster than Traylor, I don't see any chance that he makes up 33, 34 seconds in the span of 30 laps. I mean, he'd have to make up over a second a lap on average, and I don't see that happening, even though he does have fresher tires here. So for David Traylor, I think that was kind of the overall last obstacle that he needed to see. Now that he's hurdled that obstacle, it's all about just not beating himself here the rest of the way through. Again, we are now officially under 30 laps to go here at Homestead. David Traylor leads Clinton Woodby just under 7.5 seconds behind Colton Hardy in 3rd. And I know we haven't, focused too much tonight on the drivers that aren't fighting for a championship, but good for Colton Hardy. I mean, he's had a really good run here tonight. Stellar run. In fact, we talked about it earlier that when he hasn't gotten in a wreck, the consistency's been very, very good. And so far tonight, things have been really clean. And all that green flag racing has worked in the favor of Colton Hardy, the driver out of Petersburg, West Virginia. And then in the 4th spot, Charles Van Schaik, you've got Evan Schilling in 5th. And he's been doing a phenomenal job as well. Schilling looking for potentially one of his season better finishes here tonight. Mark Beverly back in 6th. And that just about rounds out the cars that are on the lead lap. One more being on the lead lap, and that's the 7th place running Kevin Winker. And then you've got Dylan Paws, Jonathan Herbert, both 2 laps down in 8th and 9th. Keith Prince, Haas Beverly, also not on the lead lap. Prince is down 3 laps. Haas Beverly is down 8 laps. And then again for Lance Thompson and Jesse Calloway, Both drivers have since retired from the race. And Haas Beverly, even 8 laps down, though, still returning to the racetrack, trying to get a little bit more reps in here tonight. Homestead, a track that some drivers really enjoy. Some drivers not a big fan at all, but certainly good to see Haas Beverly deciding to come back out on the racetrack once that car got repaired. Try to make a run at it anyway, see what he can do here before things are all said and done. But now I'm watching that gap between Trailer and Woodby, and you know, it is closing a little bit, but I don't necessarily think that that's any worry to David Trailer yet. I mean, it's small of an interval as it's closing at. I don't think that he's going to get there in time. I mean, we're coming up on what'll be, 25 laps to go here. That's a tough break. Saw the pit stop right there. That's Mark Beverly. Well, that's going to basically officially wrap up his chances here tonight. As Mark Beverly brings it down to the pits, he'll take 4 tires and fuel before he comes back out. And man, Beverly had speed. You wondered if we could have just caught a caution to keep him on the lead lap, or if he didn't get that penalty and we catch a late caution, what that could have been for him as well. But certainly looking like things are not going to quite end in the favor of Mark Beverly here tonight. 140 of 165 laps complete. So when they cross the line this next time, that'll make it official. 25 laps to go. As Sean Rita in the chat says, go Winker, go. And Eric Hegdahl, one of the guys who we're used to seeing race out here, says, I think we need a caution to make it interesting. Well, Hegdahl, I'm going to say David Trailer right now is probably saying, yeah, I don't think so. But I think that, yeah, if you're one of the other drivers, I agree. Clinton Woodby, Kevin Winker, they're all thinking the same thing. You know, maybe we do need a caution right now to make it interesting, because without one, there is just no way, at least at the pace that they're going, that anybody is going to have anything for trying to catch up to this 54 car. So David Trailer continues to be on rails here. Now in the closing stages of the Asphalt Outlaws Championship. We are going to go ahead and take one more break. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us as we get closer to crowning a champion here at Homestead.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point. But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3 by 3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
All right, welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway now. Just 17 laps remaining here to crown a champion. The Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series, and you didn't miss much while we were gone. Kevin Winker still trying the strategy of that third stop. He's gotten the gap down to 21 seconds, but obviously that being nowhere near enough to track down David Traylor with the laps remaining, unless all of a sudden Traylor falls off a cliff in terms of lap time and Kevin Winker is able to maintain it, but realistically, don't think that's going to happen. Now, Clinton Woodby, interestingly enough, has been closing the gap up a little bit. That's been about the only other thing to watch regarding the championship battle. But again, it's not enough. I mean, 6 seconds when it was over 8 seconds at one point, but 16 laps to go. He's got to really start making up some ground here, and it's just not really happening. And you got to also kind of account for the fact that if you're David Traylor, he may not even be necessarily pushing the pace all that much anymore. But how far out in front he is, he might just be kind of taking it easy, saving some tire, watching that gap, knows that he doesn't need to push it, potentially make a mistake, and do anything that could obviously cost him. So for David Traylor right now, he leads the way, 15 laps to go, but really the important thing is going to be 14 laps from now when he sees that white flag, because that'll make the race official. He doesn't have to worry about a caution spoiling his party. And for Kevin Winker here, we'll show you the lap times just as he's kind of the only driver on this alternate strategy. And he ran a 34.4 compared to a 34.8. So he's about half a second or so faster. But again, that's nowhere near enough time with 15 laps to go to close a 21 second deficit to get up to the leader. And again, if you're just tuning in, you picked a good time to do so. About 13 and a half laps away from crowning David Traylor as a back-to-back two-time Asphalt Outlaws Racing Series champion here at Homestead. And again, got to feel like this one's going to mean a little bit more just to say that not only did you go out winning back-to-back championships, you won the last championship. On top of that, if anybody says, oh, well, you may be good in the trucks, but the Xfinity cars are different. Well, I won one in both. That's what David Traylor is going to be able to say. And so all the momentum that he had this season, 7 wins up to this point, and he is looking to see if he can make it number 8 here tonight. And he is just about 12 laps and 18 miles away from doing that when he crosses the line next time. By the way, only one caution for incident so far here tonight. The only other caution after that was the caution, obviously, for the stage break, but that was a scheduled caution. The only incident caution was on the first lap when Clinton Woodby went for a spin, or a half spin, I should say. Was able to collect it and kept going. We also had a near incident a little bit later between Jonathan Herbert and Haas Beverly. That was in stage 1, didn't draw the caution. But stage 2 here, and this final stage as a whole, has been nothing but clean and green all the way through. So there is Clinton Woodby and David Traylor that we were just showing you. Now we move back to the 23 of Charles Van Schaik, who currently sits in 4th. And obviously for Van Schaik and Beverly and Winker at this point, all just praying for a caution. It's their only chance left. And there is Kevin Winker, who currently sits in 5th. He's up 5 spots from where he started this race at. And Mark Beverly, who has unfortunately fallen a lap down, currently racing with Evan Schilling. That is not for position. Mark Beverly currently the first car a lap down, so if we did get a caution again, it would put him back on the lead lap. For David Traylor here, as he works off of turn 4, He'll now see 2 hands in the air. 10 laps remaining here at Homestead for David Traylor, trying to see if he can finish this one off. 10 laps, 15 miles, and again, a chance to win back-to-back championships. And if you think that he has not found a rhythm and he is not dialed in right now, look at the focus as we go on board both in the real life and the virtual cockpit. I mean, those eyes are dead straight out the windshield, head's barely moving. Takes a peek up in the mirror or at his second monitor every once in a while, make sure everything else is going according to plan. Looks right back down, and I mean, this, look at the line. Even as he works out of the corner, look at the wheel. So smooth. The car's not even slipping up a little bit on exit. Now, it looks like Clinton Woodby has closed it under 6 seconds now, but again, still nowhere close enough, not at this rate. So with single-digit laps remaining, looks like for David Traylor, there may be one more lap car in the equation, maybe, that he has to deal with here. I'm trying to figure out, would that be Mark Beverly losing a second lap? Would that be Evan Schilling? Who would that be that he's catching? Is it Keith Prince, potentially? Yeah, it looks like... No, it's not Keith Prince. Looks like it's going to be Dylan Pause. That's who it is in the 10 car that David Traylor may be catching here before this race runs out. Obviously, if Traylor gets there with a couple laps left, he may not even worry about trying to go by Dylan if he's got plenty of room out back. No point in risking an issue as you try to go around that car. But for Dylan Pause right here, almost sounds like, is he saving fuel there? Well, for some reason it sounded like he pushed the clutch in, but maybe not. Obviously Dylan Pause, though, not on the lead lap, currently 2 down anyway, just seeing if he can finish this one out. Certainly not been the night that he wanted to end the season with. But again, Homestead is a very tricky track. I think a lot of people underestimate how tough this track is. They think, oh, it's, you know, just a mile and a half, similar to any other racetrack, but not the case. Very, very difficult. Car has a tendency to get tight through the corner and very loose on exit as these runs go on, as we get late into a run. And for David Traylor now, working his way through 3 and 4, he will officially see just 6 laps to go here at Homestead. With 6 laps remaining now, Clinton Woodby still 5.7 seconds back, nowhere close enough. Colton Hardy, who's in 3rd, is about 15 seconds back. And Charles Van Schaik, who currently sits in 4th, is about 18 seconds back. But for Colton Hardy, talk about good momentum for some of your championship drivers, even if they don't win it, depending on where they finish. Good momentum for Colton Hardy here, starting off the series that he will co-own and admin next season. So that 97 machine with QH Design sponsorship all over the sides. Looking forward to what he's going to run next year. And obviously, a good way to end it is with a podium, the final race of the season. By the way, how about Loose Lug Nuts as a team in general? You know, we talked so much about what David Traylor has done, but hey, everybody on that team for Loose Lug Nuts, Colton Hardy, David Traylor, Joe Yakes, Jesse Calloway, all the guys that came out this season and made pretty deep playoff runs on that team. No surprise that they got at least one of their drivers into the championship 5. And here they are trying to see if he can propel himself to victory. 4 laps remaining here at Homestead. That means just 3 away from that magical white flag that makes the race official and erases any stress associated with a potential caution. And if you want any reassurance that we're probably not going to see one, look no farther than the track map. These guys are all sorts of spaced out. And by the way, Kevin Winker did get that gap down to under 20 seconds, but has really not gotten it down anymore since then. But as I mentioned, look at the gaps. Really the only drivers that are close together is the guys sitting right around 4th and 5th, Colton Hardy, Kevin Winker. Those two running relatively close to each other, but that's about it. Charles Van Schaik. But after that, everybody's separated. And now for David Traylor here, doesn't look like he's going to have to necessarily worry about Dylan Pause. Now, Clinton Woodby has closed that gap up to almost about 5 seconds now. But we're going to be coming to 2 laps to go. So again, I will say, with no caution, it will not matter. David Traylor just 2 laps and 3 miles away from grabbing his 2nd Asphalt Outlaws Racing Championship to make it back-to-back championships and being $200 richer. The prize that comes with that championship trophy. Off of turn 2, this will be probably the lap where he is going to push the pace more than he has the entire race, because this is the lap where he wants to see that white flag so that this race can be deemed official. He's working out of turn 4. He sees the starter with the flag in hand. This is some of the sketchiest moments right here. You're just wanting to cross the line, and he has. All right, there we go. White flag is out. First hill has been climbed. Race is official. And now just under a mile and a half left to go for David Traylor. Let's sum it up for you. Storybook season. How about this? 7 wins. Championship last year. You wonder, well, how is he going to beat that? Oh, it's simple. You win back-to-back championships 2 in a row to round out the season. Asphalt Outlaws Racing is going to be done. And guess who's going to take home the final championship in the Asphalt Outlaws Racing history? David Traylor off of turn 4 across the line wins the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Championship. With a margin of victory of just under 6 seconds, adds his 8th win of the season. David Traylor is a back-to-back champion. The driver out of Conyers, Georgia, with all the momentum in the world coming into the race here tonight, gets it done. He's going to get some congratulatory bumps from Clinton Woodby. Herbert gives him a little wave on the way by. And he has got to be feeling good about that one. You saw the little fist bump for David Traylor. You might be thinking, man, why doesn't this guy look a little more excited? Well, when you win 8 races in a season, you don't quite show excitement the same way, and getting that 8th win and that championship, I can tell you it meant a little something more, though. And he's definitely pumped about it, even if he doesn't necessarily visually show it. And he's going to bring it around here, burn it down in front of the virtual grandstands. As he does so, we'll take a look at your finishing results here tonight. Again, your race winner and season champion, David Traylor, finishing in 2nd here tonight. Clinton Woodby, so he finishes 2nd in the championship. Colton Hardy rounds out the podium. And you've got Kevin Winker finishing 4th in the championship. Charles Van Schaik finishes in 5th. Evan Schilling finishes in 6th. And by the way, do note that Charles Van Schaik was the 4th and final finishing championship driver to win some money here tonight. Kevin Winker obviously finishing 3rd in that battle. And then you had Evan Schilling back in 6th. Mark Beverly finishes in 7th and finishes 5th in the championship. Back in the 8th spot here tonight is Jonathan Herbert with Dylan Paz in 9th, Keith Prince in 10th. And you've got Haas Beverly finishing in 11th, Lance Thompson in 12th, and Jesse Calloway rounding out the field here tonight. He finishes in 13th. All right, well, we're going to go get your season champion and race winner along with the rest of your top 3 in here for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back here at Homestead. All right, and here we go. Let's start first with your race winner and season champion, David Traylor. David, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Austin.
Well, first off, you're supposed to be standing on the chair slinging the Gatorade around, not drinking it like you just won another race. I mean, you go back-to-back in the championship. You win another one. First of all, how's it feel?
Oh, that's such a relief. There was way too many close calls. Almost wrecking myself. Just losing focus. Just ticking laps away. So they were like the last 10 laps. I kind of backed it down about 10-15% just to hold on. But man, it feels good. I worked all season, had a really great regular season, and then kind of since December just couldn't get back to victory lane for a while there, and then finally got the one that mattered. So it's a relief. It's a breath of fresh air for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You get all the momentum back on your side. And obviously, final season of the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Series. You got it done in the trucks. You got it done in the Xfinity. Kind of tell us about what you were able to take away from the last 2 seasons. And I believe we got another series starting up under Colton Hardy that's going to be pretty similar. Do you have any plans to run in that? And how's the momentum going to carry over?
Actually, I won't be running that. Won't be running that one. I'll actually be doing race control. So I've actually already put in all the work to design that schedule, setting weather, setting track dates, picking out tracks. And I think it's gonna be a lot of fun for these guys next season. So if you're out there looking for a league next Friday, starting in a few months, come and join us. We're racing the Gen 4 cars. Gonna be fun. Gonna be some tire strategy, some fuel strategy, just some battling some track conditions. It's gonna be super fun. I'd love to race it, but I'm getting my taste of race control, and it's something that I really like to do. So I'm gonna step out of the seat for a little while, and but still be around.
We won't officially call it retirement, but you might as well. I mean, you get 2 championships. I certainly would at that point. But hey, nonetheless, a great run this season, a great run tonight. So before we let you head out to go celebrate the championship, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, obviously, first off, thanks to my teammates for bringing me in this season over at Loose Lug Nuts. Joe Yates, he's out at Sebring, obviously a great guy. It's a shame he couldn't be here tonight and race with us. But him, Jesse Wise, Jesse Calloway, and then Colton. These guys fought hard all season, and we lift each other up. Had a bad race, we didn't let it get down on us. So a really great support group over there. Obviously, big thank you to you. I know obviously your schedule kind of had some conflicts with our broadcasting season, but really appreciate you being here when you could. You make these races awesome to go back and watch. Amazing commentary over at PGR, and we really appreciate that. Big thanks to Mark for putting this league on. He pretty much does it all by himself. So he put a lot of work into this season. It's not easy. That's why it's a whole team of us next year. So massive thank you to him for letting us come out here and do this. And then thanks to the sponsors on the car, Blair over at the Winning Bid, Colton and Mr. H for QH Designs. They came on board this season. Awesome supporters of mine. Constantly, hey, you racing this, you doing this, how does this car look? Just amazing sponsor to have. If you need any marketing material, hats, shirts, signs, vinyls, graphics, really whatever you can think of in the West Virginia area or nationwide, reach out to QH Design. They're awesome to have. And then thanks to my wife for letting me do this. She's a great supporter of mine. And then my dad watching at home.
David, thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on the win. Congrats on the championship. What a season it's been, and hopefully we'll see you around.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Austin.
All right, now that's going to bring us up to your second place finisher here tonight. And although it was Loose Lug Nuts who grabs the championship and gets the race win, it was White Knuckle Racing here, and we'll bring him up in just a moment. It gets the second place finish here tonight, and still a good run, and a second place finish in the championship standings for Clinton Woodby. See how he's feeling. Hey, Clinton, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I've got you, bud.
Well, you may not bring home the championship, but you said you wanted some new spiffy parts for the rigs. You take home second. Still $100. Overall, how'd you feel about the run here tonight? How you feeling about the finish in the championship standings?
I feel pretty good. I mean, overall, it was a good season to actually get more than just one win. I didn't think I had anything for David there at the end. I started making up some time, but I think he was just saving to just make sure he got to the end. I was mainly just trying to make sure Charles didn't catch me, but I was able to maintain his pace about the last 25, 30 laps. So I just kind of tried to settle in. The last 15 laps, I drove pretty hard, but I wasn't really gaining any ground.
Maybe not, but you still have a good run overall here tonight. Obviously, a good finish in the championship standings, but this season, I mean, you look back at it, 3 wins and another championship 5 appearance. You did that last season. How'd you feel about the last 2 seasons overall?
Pretty good. I think it's coming together. Next year, we're taking some absence and going to do some race control, so going to come back better and quicker, hopefully.
All right. Well, hey, before we let you head out here tonight, for the final time this season and the final time in the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Series, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to my girlfriend, Megan. She's my #1 supporter. And Blair Peterson, the Winning Bid Diecast auction. Can't say enough about that guy. He's just a nice guy all around. And everybody for the race tonight. It was a pretty good race. David for the championship, you for the broadcast. Teammate Dylan, I think he got a win this season. Pretty proud of him. I think this is his first official complete season after about 4 or 5 attempts. So we got him through one.
Absolutely. Well, hey, again, great run here tonight for you, Clinton. You finished second in the race, second in the championship standings, and a good season to look back at with those 3 wins. We appreciate you talking to us, and we will see you around.
Appreciate it.
All right, now that's going to bring us to your final podium finisher here tonight. In the 3rd spot, another one of the Loose Lug Nut Racing drivers, and that is Colton Hardy. Colton, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, man, you finished on the podium here tonight, not fighting for a championship, but still a great run for you overall. Tell us a little bit about the car and how much tire saving you had to do during that long green flag run we saw.
Shoot, the tire saving, that was something out of this world. These new tire models are unforgiving and aggressive, and if you torch your tires for 2 or 3 laps, you're going to pay for it in 10. And it won't get any better from there. So a lot of backing up, a lot of backing the entry up. I mean, even then, I was shredding the right front. I could not figure out how to save the right front, but I mean, it all worked out, and we brought home 3rd.
Yeah, it certainly does still work out. An impressive run nonetheless. And I mean, obviously, kind of looking at the broader picture, you see a teammate take home the championship. And, you know, this is one of those things where not only you, but it really kind of felt like the team in general, Loose Lug Nuts, bring on a couple new drivers this season. You guys have a phenomenal run all season, a lot of wins tallied up, and here tonight you get 2 more drivers on the podium and one in victory lane. So just tell us about like what it is with the chemistry. What is it that makes you guys so good throughout the entire season?
The way we mesh with each other. I remember last season I was working a lot with Clinton and David, and going into next season I'll be working a lot with Clinton. He's a stand-up fella too. It's like we all have this chemistry that we can really race well around each other. We do a lot of hosted practices together, and I mean we share a lot of data together. We know what each other's going to do. We share pit strategies. We're in it for the team, and it really shows with Joe and Jesse, both Jessies and David. They're great guys, and one of the greatest guys I could have ever found whenever I came over to League Racing, and they're a blessing in disguise for sure. And just a great team and great people to lean on, especially for information on tracks that I may not be the best at. David may wallop the field at, and it's nice to lean on David a little bit for strategy.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, Colton, a good run here tonight. So before we wrap up the season, before we let you head out, the final time, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, absolutely. David for putting my stickers on the car and my logos on the car and bringing home a championship to us. And that's phenomenal. My whole team, everybody at Loose Lug Nuts, even the back behind the scenes guys, even Scott Rankin and them guys, like they're great people. The Beverleys, I know this is their last season adminning the season or adminning the league. They're put on fantastic races, fantastic seasons, and the 2 seasons I've been here, I've made great friends. I've made a lot of memories that are going to stick with me, and a lot of learning I've done. My sponsor, of course, the Winning Bid and QH Design. So, and you put on a great broadcast too. So we couldn't be able to show what we do and give our sponsors the shout outs and the views that they need without you putting on a great broadcast.
Absolutely. And as always, we appreciate you talking to us. And we mentioned it through the race, but obviously you're going to be part of a new series starting up next season. Same idea, but rebranded. Obviously, it'll be more of a team helping kind of run the league. So a lot of drivers looking forward to that. I'm sure we'll see a lot of returners. But nonetheless, as for tonight, thanks for talking to us, Colton. Congrats on the 3rd place finish, and we will see you around.
Thank you, Austin. I appreciate you.
All right, there you go. Colton Hardy, 3rd place finisher here tonight. Well, man, what a season it was, and what a win and a championship it was for David Traylor. 7 wins up until tonight, where he made it win number 8, gets the job done, and not just the race, but also wins the championship. And so with that, we will wrap up the season for Asphalt Outlaws Racing and wrap up the league of Asphalt Outlaws Racing after 2 great seasons. Appreciate everything that they've done, bringing me on board, both when I was with Ghost Racing Network and now with PGR eSports. So obviously, big shout out to the Beverleys for all that they do, especially Mark. And obviously, things can't be done without the sponsors. And this season, big shout out to QH Design and the Winning Bid for all that they have done for Asphalt Outlaws Racing. All right, well, that's it for me here tonight and for the season. I'm Austin Green on PGR eSports. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, I hope that you enjoyed. And until next time, have a good night.